welcome to the final whistle. I'm Kenzie Benali.
And I'm Steve Forbes.
Well, it was a tough afternoon at Emirates Stadium. The Gunners take all 3 points from today's encounter after beating the Saints 3-0. And our former Saints captain, Dean Hammond, and Premier League reporter Paul Belveston are back with us to give us their thoughts on the game. Dean, we'll come to you first. It was a comfortable afternoon for Arteta's men. What were your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think it was a comfortable afternoon after the first 20 minutes. I thought Southampton started very well, to be honest. They pressed Arsenal, frustrated Arsenal, lots of interceptions and almost created half opportunities, half chances, a few strikes at goal. So the plan within the first 20 minutes worked. But then Arsenal score, in my opinion, a superb goal. It's a really good goal. You know, it's down to that small detail. Southampton almost intercept the ball, but it's good one-touch football from Arsenal. They break the lines, they break the press, and then score a good goal, really. And that kind of deflated Southampton a little bit, kind of took the wind out of themselves. To concede 6 minutes later would be a frustration because the game is almost over then, really. To get the third goal, Arsenal hit the post a couple of times. Southampton had some moments. Nathan Tella had a couple of chances. Nathan Redmond had an opportunity. But yeah, I think Arsenal deserved winners, really. And the frustration was that Southampton could never really build on that bright start, really, which I think would be the disappointment. But Arsenal deserved winners. But yeah, just the frustration because Southampton almost feel like a nearly team at the moment. You know, they play well in spells. They're very they compete against every team they play against. They create chances, but just that small details and kind of conceding goals of late has cost them. And I think that was another example of that today.
Yeah, Belvis, that seems like a fair assessment, calling Southampton a nearly team at the moment. What did you make of that match this afternoon?
Not much to add to that, really. Dean knows what he's talking about, doesn't he? I mean, it was so frustrating. I feel like I've seen this game before, really. So many times we see Saints cause problems to their opponents with nice, significant spells of pressure and danger and threat, and then they get knocked back with a goal. And it was a great goal by Arsenal. It shows the fine margins, and that's, we were talking beforehand about what Arsenal try to do and how sometimes they look like they've worked it out. The way they beat Southampton's press there, the patience they showed and the bravery to pass the ball to people who didn't have much space. They were under pressure, but they got a way out and then capitalised. And that was a tremendous goal. The other two goals weren't great from a Southampton point of view, were they? And that's been another tale of, I was going to say the season, probably a couple of seasons, really. They've got to do better in those situations, marking better, picking up players in the box. You know, Ødegaard was completely free and, you know, they did hit the post. There was a goal disallowed by VAR. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot better as well if Southampton had managed to make that pressure tell in the opening 20 minutes. But the chances they created were right chances. They weren't clear-cut, brilliant chances, though. So, you know, I think it would be hard to argue that Arsenal didn't deserve the win today, really.
Dean, we spoke before the game about some influential Saints players being unavailable today, specifically Oriol Romeu and Mohamed Salisu, who were both suspended for the match. How much were they missed, or is that just an easy excuse for the end result?
No, I don't think it's an easy excuse, Steve. I think it's definitely a reason. Paul touched on it before the show. You know, if you take the spine out of any team in the Premier League, it's going to affect them. And not just for spine, very good players. You've lost your goalkeeper. You've lost one of your centre-halves that's been playing very well all season. Oriol Romeu, like you mentioned, is an influential player. And Shay Adams up front as well, which, again, is an important player of this team. So I don't think it's an excuse. It's a reason. I don't think it's the complete reason why Southampton lost today. You know, the players that come in are very capable and the Premier League players. They're not youngsters coming in. But it does disrupt your rhythm. It can disrupt your play. You know, you're kind of playing with new people. You're building that new relationship. There's a little unfamiliarity about it. But, you know, you talk about Salisu, I think, and Oriol Romeu. I don't think the second goal happens. Let's look at this, break it down. I don't think the second goal happens if Oriol Romeu is playing. You know, Ødegaard runs off Diallo. You know, he off the blind side, loses his runner, and that's where the goal comes from. I think Bednarak in that moment as well could be a little bit stronger, and I think Salisu would have done. So, the second goal doesn't happen. Do they win the game? I'm not sure. I think Arsenal in spells today were very, very good, but it did make a difference. You're losing players, not only good quality, but leaders as well, experienced players. And it does make a difference. It really, really does, especially when you're playing against, I wouldn't say Arsenal are one of the elite teams at the moment, but they're still one of the better teams in the Premier League when they're playing at home. So it does make it more difficult, but I wouldn't say it's the sole reason why Southampton lost today.
Yeah, they were a big miss, weren't they? Well, Belvis, we didn't see an awful lot of the ball, but we did create some chances. What's your assessment of Southampton in the final third today?
I'd like to be glowingly positive, but I just feel a bit flat. And those chances that they did create, especially early on, they were either from distance or, Aaron Ramsdale made a couple of saves. He made a couple of saves that looked spectacular, but there were times when I also thought he was playing up for the cameras a bit, because his goal was never greatly under threat, was it? I'd like to know Dean's thoughts actually on the Nathan Teller penalty appeal. I don't know if I'm just grasping at sort of things to maybe pick up on, because I thought, there were a couple of arms around him and he seemed wrestled to the floor. We didn't see many replays, but I did wonder if that was worth more of a chat than it was given at the time.
No, Paul, I think it's a penalty, in my opinion. I think it's a penalty 100%. If you look at it, it's not only a penalty, Gabriel's sent off as well because he's already on a yellow card. So at that stage, it's 2-0, I think. That goes to a penalty, makes it 2-1 against 10 men. Is it a different game? I was surprised it didn't mention it to VAR to have a look at it, because Teller gets the first contact. Gabriel gets nowhere near the ball. It's in a penalty area. All I can think is this, crazy rule that the referee didn't see. It's obviously when he's in real time, he doesn't give it. And then is it a clear and obvious decision for VAR to make a decision? Again, I don't know. But in my opinion, that's a clear-cut penalty. Nathan Teller touches the ball, gets to the ball first. He will get to the ball before the goalkeeper, and Gabriel prevents him from doing that. So, yeah, I think it's a penalty in my opinion.
Well, at the end of the day, it wasn't given, and Southampton did concede another goal after that. Dean, during his commentary on BBC Radio Solent, Dave Merrington said that the one thing Southampton need to work on is their marking in the box. All three of the goals today came from crosses. So what do Saints have to do to actually improve on that?
Well, I think Dave's got a point. I think potentially of late it's become a little bit easy. If you look at the games, I was just looking at it. Southampton conceded from a set piece against Norwich, against Liverpool, against Leicester, and against Arsenal today. So that's 4 out of the last 5 or 6 games. So there seems to be a little bit of a trend. I think it comes down to individual responsibility of, my man's not going to score, my man's not going to get away from it. The willingness to stay with your man, the willingness to see the ball away from that phase of play, whether it's the first phase, the second phase, until the ball's completely cleared. Communication as well, being in the right position. But that comes on the training ground. The disappointment from me would be the fact that in those moments, being stereotypical here, Arsenal are not the most strongest team, the most physical team in the world, and they're getting to the ball first. And I wouldn't expect that from an Arsenal team against a Southampton team. That would be my disappointment from those moments. So again, it's working on it at the training ground. It's looking at video analysis, looking at players, positioning. Can we change it? Can we go zonal maybe? Can we go man to man? But I think if you look at the overhaul this season, Southampton have defended pretty well, really. But yeah, of late, it's probably been a little bit too easy to score from set pieces against Southampton. And that would be a disappointment. Difficult for the opposition to score. So again, at this level, it's down to the fine detail that needs to be worked on at the training ground.
Well, Belvis, let's look at the table now then, shall we? Because we stay 16th in the league. Looking at the bigger picture, what does that result mean for Southampton?
So 16 points from 16 games. My maths can even work that out, a point a game. If you get 38 points in the season, you're generally staying up. You'd be hugely unfortunate. And I think Southampton have deserved more than 16 points at this stage of the season so far with the performances. But, that's where the table is at the moment. 6 points off the bottom three. Equally, though, 6 points off 8th place. So, 16th sounds like deep in a relegation battle, but it's. I don't think it's quite that bad at the moment. The next matches, they offer opportunities to pick up more points. Palace Wednesday, then Brentford at home, surely a must win. West Ham away, they're pretty good at the moment, but they do blow hot and cold, and Southampton have won away at West Ham a few times in the recent past. Spurs at home, goodness knows what sort of shape they'll be in with all the games they've got to cram in and still recovering from COVID and working things out. They are definitely improving under Antonio Conte, but some unknowns there as well. Newcastle at home, starting off the new year, they're still very much a work in progress, improving. So, after those 5 games at the FA Cup weekend break, 21 games gone, you want at least 21 points by that stage. If they can just improve that ratio of greater than a point a game, then I think we can feel very positive for the second half of the season. Slip below and have 19, 20 points from 21 games, I start getting a little bit anxious, I think.
Well, it is a quick turnaround, Dean, to the next game, which, as Paul said, is Crystal Palace on Wednesday evening. What are your early thoughts ahead of that one?
Well, a game that you would look at and Southampton would want to get something out of it, would want to win, really. Crystal Palace, again, have had a pretty good start to the season, but they've lost their last 3. I don't think they've won in 5, something like that. So they're going through a bit of a sticky patch, to be honest. But they're a decent team at home. They are a decent team, got some good attacking players. Depends how Adam Armstrong is. I think he's obviously gone off injured today. Brozius, looks like he's limped off. So it looks like it depends what the squad's going to be from Southampton. Players coming back from suspension, that will help. But a game that Southampton will look at and think, okay, we need a reaction here. We need to come back. We need to put a positive performance in and get a result. And then, like you say, the 2 fixtures before Christmas are really important. Crystal Palace and Brentford now. You can pick up 2 positive results. Can really change everything because the league is very, very tight.
Yeah, very important indeed. Belvis, what's your view on that contest between Southampton and Crystal Palace midweek?
So much injuries on the injuries, I think. I am worried about that front line with all 3 players. We don't know. All 3 could be missing against Palace. And, what does Ralph do then? Perhaps it's time for Theo Walcott to prove many of his doubters wrong with a performance. Nathan Redmond obviously can play up there. Nathan Teller as well. And the 2 Nathans, I think, were probably showed the brightest moments in the game today. Having Mohamed Salisu coming back, Ori Romeo, Dean's already talked about them, but Salisu is a big miss for someone who hasn't played a full year of Premier League football yet. He only made his debut in February. I think he's been hugely important. On Wednesday, I thought it was interesting that Arsenal put Lacazette right on him at corners, and he did struggle. He came to punch a couple, missed them. Gabriel scores at the second attempt after the first one was ruled out by VAR. We talked about his experience beforehand. I was expecting him to be barking out instructions, really taking control of that 6-yard box. I want to see an improvement from him there. And if all of these pieces of the puzzle come together, I can see Southampton putting together far longer periods of dominance than just the 20 minutes at the start of the game that we saw today. And then, we can start feeling a lot more optimistic again.
All right, well, great stuff. Well, Paul, Dean, thank you so much for your input on both Saints Live and the final whistle today. We'll speak to you soon. Well, it wasn't the result we wanted today, was it, Kenzie? But we'll put it to bed and we march on to Crystal Palace on Wednesday night at Selhurst Park in the Premier League. We'll be with you for another Saints Live then, so do enjoy the rest of your weekend and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye for now.